I can still increase the load. Zoology, esotericism, mineralogy, and a full shelf on cephalopods.
Get me out! Don't let me sleep in here.
I think we got a walker. Hey!
Who's there? This way! Hey! You won't get far. You there!
Now for the next step. hide before the guards see me.
Who did this? Is somebody here?
Hell's teeth. Fuller's gonna think we did this. We gotta tell him, though.
This way. You there.
I've got to hide before the guards see me.
Who did this? Is somebody here?
Hell's teeth. Fuller's gonna think we did this. We gotta tell him, though.
I'll go take a look. This way.
Get me out! Don't.
I think we gotta walk this way. Hey! I saw something over there. Anybody around here? Come on, show yourself.
Was that you?
Don't you worry about the doctor. Right now, he'll have plenty to keep him busy with his precious machine. It gives us time to get away. I'll undo you.
Get away? Get away where? I can't go anywhere. It'll find me, like it found me here. You're mistaken about the beast. Don't stay with me, or you'll end up the same way.
You're Sanders, aren't you? I heard you from my cell. What did they do to you? What does Fuller want with you?
The doctor? You think it's the doctor who scares me? The doctor wants to heal me. But he's the one who's crazy. He wants to restore my sight. He wants to give me back my eyes. And yet I told him that I didn't want them. I do not want to see it anymore. The real culprit is Sarah. Her and her accursed paintings.
You're kidding me. You're talking about Sarah Hawkins.
The one and only. The legendary. There is no artist more enlightened or cursed than Sarah Hawkins.
What can you tell me about the Hawkins?
You should leave before it's too late.
I inspected the scene of the fire and something is not right. Do you think Charles Hawkins could have killed his wife and faked his own death?
What? No, of course not. He would never have done such a thing. She was the sole purpose of his life.
I don't understand. What's going on this island?
I'm so sorry. We should never have met.
What are you talking about?
Destiny! It has trapped you. No, don't let it see you, or you won't be able to escape it. Don't look at it. That's how it finds you.
What finds me?
Sarah Hawkins' visitor. The Shambler.
Sanders, pull yourself together.
Without her, it's no longer possible to save me.
What the hell? I gotta... Okay. This is insane. What killed him?
You there. This way. Come on, show yourself. You there.
This is insane. What killed him? Damn! The gas! Oh, my head.
Later. We need to move on.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day's only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan, and I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
It seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there, with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
We met briefly. Time enough to iron out a few matters. The main thing is that we understood one another. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me. May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
He started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Oh, mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
With all due respect, Mrs. Sanders, it was you who sent him to this asylum, not me.
How dare you? What was I supposed to do, Detective? Upon seeing such a brilliant mind disintegrate in this way, waking with a start every night with him shrieking in horror, petrified before this accursed painting, unable to look away, until he managed to gouge his eyes out with his own hands. I should have listened to Dr. Fuller, let him intern him months ago. If I am to be condemned, it is because I did not act sooner.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.